You were born on September 8th, 1971. Not just anywhere. At Wimbledon Hospital, London, to a man who at that moment already owns newspapers on 3 continents and is in the middle of acquiring more. You will spend your entire life trying to understand what that means, not the newspapers. The man. Your father is Rupert Murdoch, the most powerful media proprietor in the history of the world. The man who built a single Adelaide newspaper his own father left him into an empire that shapes elections, topples prime ministers, and defines what English-speaking democracies are permitted to believe is true. Fox News, The Wall Street Journal, The New York Post, The Sun, The Times of London, News Corp, Sky News Australia, not a media company. A civilizational argument, pressed into print and broadcast at scale. He is 40 years old when you were born. He has already been doing this for 2 decades. He will do it for 5 more. You didn't choose any of this, but this already chose you. Your childhood is 3 cities and no fixed center. London at birth, New York by 3. Your father has just bought the Post, just planted his flag in America. The biggest game he has decided to play. Manhattan private schools. Dalton, Trinity, the specific education of children whose parents are written about in the newspapers they do not own yet. Then Aspen, because your father likes mountains and clean air and the company of men who run things. You ski before you are old enough to understand that the mountain is also a networking event. You understand this later. The apartment buildings you grow up in are tall and the staff are many, and the addresses do not need to be explained to anyone who receives an invitation. But the center of gravity in all of these rooms, the invisible sun everything orbits, is your father. When he is present, the room reorganizes itself. When he calls from another time zone, your mother straightens slightly. When his name comes up at dinner, there's a quality of attention in whoever is speaking that is different from the attention given to other names. You are 4 years old. You already understand this. Children understand power before they have language for it. You have a sister, Elizabeth, 3 years older, born in Sydney, your father's favorite city in the country he still considers home. You have a brother, James, born 13 months after you, also in London, also in the same orbit. The 3 of you will spend the next 40 years competing for something your father has never explicitly offered and never explicitly refused. A thing that has no formal name inside the family, only outside it, in the newspapers and the boardrooms. Is it called what it is? Succession. Your mother is Anna Murdoch, Scottish journalist, second wife, the woman who moved 4 times across 3 countries for a man whose attention was never entirely hers to hold. She is composed. She is disciplined. She is the architecture of your private life in exactly the way all mothers of powerful men are. The person who makes the human layer possible inside the institutional one. She knows what you actually feel when you say you are fine. She will pay a price for this. You will understand that price later. At 9 years old, you accompany your father to the New York Post's newsroom for the first time. The room, loud, fast, smelling of ink and cigarette smoke and the specific urgency of people who believe what they are doing matters. Phones ringing, men in shirt sleeves, editors arguing over headlines that will be read by 1 million people tomorrow morning. Your father moves through it like a man who owns it. Because he does. He stops at a desk, asks a question, gets an answer, makes a decision, moves on. The decision will appear on the front page of a newspaper tomorrow. 1 million people will see it. Most of them will not know a man made it. They will simply believe it. You watch him do this and something shifts in you that does not shift back. This is what power looks like when it is not pretending to be something else. At school, your friends are the children of men who run things. Banks, law firms, studios, funds. They know what your father does. Or they know the version their own fathers have explained. There is a specific quality to the way they treat you that you will spend years trying to name accurately. It is not friendship. It is something that passes for friendship in a world where every relationship has a valuation attached to it. You will figure this out by the time you are 12. You will not admit it to yourself until you are older. Princeton. Philosophy degree. 1994. Your father does not care about the philosophy. He sends you to Australia. Not as punishment. As education of the specific kind he believes in. You learn the business by doing the business. You start at the bottom of News Limited, the Australian arm. You are 22 years old, and your name is on the letterhead of your father's company, and you are learning, from the inside, how a media empire actually works. Not the theory of it. The machinery. Which editors can be trusted. Which politicians need managing. Which headlines move circulation and which ones just feel good to write. By 25, you are running News Limited. By 26, your father calls you, publicly, his heir apparent. The first among equals. You have a brother. He is 1 year younger. He is watching this. Roger Ailes runs Fox News. You need to understand who Roger Ailes is. He is not an employee in the conventional sense. He is a force. He built Fox News from nothing in 1996 into the most watched cable news network in America in 4 years. He did this by understanding, better than almost anyone alive, what a specific slice of the American public wanted to be told and how to tell it to them every night in a way that felt like truth. Your father trusts him completely. Ailes does not trust you. This is the thing your father cannot see, or will not see, or sees and decides not to address, because addressing it would require choosing between you. And your father does not choose. Not yet. Peter Chernin is president of News Corporation. He is also not interested in your ascension. He has his own ideas about the company's future, and those ideas do not include a 28-year-old with your last name deciding things he has spent 30 years building expertise to decide. 2 of the most powerful men in your father's empire are working against you. You tell your father. Your father says, learn to fight your own battles. This is the third lesson. And it arrives wearing the face of fatherly confidence. You are 33 years old. You have spent 11 years inside News Corporation. You have run the Australian operations. You have sat on the board. You have been positioned consistently and publicly as the future of everything your father built. And then you quit. Not because you want to, because you have understood something about the game you are in. The game has a rule your father never explained. He will not protect you. He will watch. He will see who survives. He has decided that the way to choose his successor is to put his children in situations where the succession itself will eliminate those who are not strong enough. He is raising successors, not children. This is not cruel. Or it is not only cruel, it is also, in its particular way, the most honest thing he has ever done. You move to Sydney. You start an investment company, Illyria. You buy rock climbing gear. Get more tattoos. Live in your father's country in your father's accent more than in any of the cities his empire actually occupies. The Australian Financial Review writes about your wealth. The British press wonders if you are finished. Your brother James is named CEO of British Sky Broadcasting. The game continues without you, or with you in a different position, or with you on the board watching the next move. James is in now. You are out. The question is whether out is permanent. Your mother, Anna. You need to understand what your mother did in 1999 that you will only fully understand much later, when your parents divorced, after 32 years, after 4 children, after 3 continents, after a marriage that produced the most consequential media dynasty of the 20th century. She negotiated something specific. She gave up her claim to an equal share of your father's fortune. In exchange, the family trust. The irrevocable instrument that guaranteed that you and Elizabeth and James and Prudence would each have an equal vote in the future of News Corp. She sacrificed her financial position to protect yours, to protect the equality of the 4 of you, to prevent your father from taking another wife and having more children who could dilute what she believed belonged to you. Your father signed it, called it irrevocable, moved on. Then he married Wendy Deng, had Grace, had Chloe, and spent the next 25 years looking for a way to undo what he had agreed to. Your mother understood your father better than he understood himself. She knew the agreement would not hold. She gave up what she had anyway, because she believed in the principle more than the guarantee. You did not know this when she made the deal. You were 27. You were learning to run newspapers. You will spend years learning what it costs to love a man who treats agreements as provisional. You come back, not because the exile ended, because your father calls. Because the empire needs what it needs, and you are still the one he trusts, despite everything, more than anyone else. You return to Fox Corporation as co-chairman, then executive chairman, then CEO, alongside James for a period. A power-sharing experiment your father engineers in the way that only your father engineers things, with no explicit rules, no formal hierarchy, and the implicit understanding that the experiment itself is the selection process. The experiment fails, not because you are better than James, because you are different from James. James wants to change things. He is uncomfortable with Fox News, with the politics it broadcasts, with the version of America it helps construct every night at 8 p.m. He donates to Democrats. He funds climate initiatives. He goes to Davos and means it. You are uncomfortable too. Anyone paying attention can see this. But you are more comfortable being uncomfortable. This is the difference your father is measuring. Not ideology. Tolerance. The one who can hold the contradiction longest wins. James leaves. Elizabeth retreats. Prudence watches. The Netflix docuseries released yesterday, the one the world is watching right now, it uses a phrase that will follow you for the rest of your public life. He was raising successors, not children. You have heard variations of this your entire life. In newspapers. In profile pieces. In the mouths of people who covered your family from the outside and could say what none of you could say from the inside. You have never confirmed it. You have never denied it. Because the answer is complicated in the specific way that all true things about families are complicated. He was both. He was raising successors and children, and the tragedy, if that is what it is that he believed those two things could be the same thing, that the business and the family were not in tension. That for the Murdochs, the two had never been separate. The docuseries ends with that question. The one they put on the poster. Is a dynasty a family or a business? You know the answer. You have always known the answer. You have simply never said it out loud. Your father retires. He is 92 years old. He sends a note to employees. It says he believed in freedom. He says you are absolutely committed to the cause. He does not define the cause. He does not need to. You are the executive chairman of Fox Corporation, the co-chairman of News Corp, the man in charge of Fox News, the Wall Street Journal, the New York Post, the Sun, the Times of London, Sky News Australia. You control more of the English-speaking world's information architecture than any other single human being alive. You did not build this. You inherited it. But you stayed when the others left. You came back when you were sent away. You held the contradiction longer than anyone else. This is what the succession selects for. Not vision. Endurance. September 2025. The family trust battle ends. Your three siblings, Elizabeth, James, Prudence, are paid $3.3 billion for their shares. Bought out. Removed from the voting structure your mother spent her financial future protecting. Your father's final act as the architect of the empire, making sure only one child controls it. The irrevocable trust, revised. The agreement your mother gave everything to protect, undone. You inherit the full voting control. James does not attend the signing. Elizabeth does not attend. They have not spoken to your father in years. None of them attended his fifth wedding. You attended. This is the other thing the succession selects for. The willingness to stay in the room. Today, Netflix has released 4 hours of documentation about your family. Documents, emails, text messages, the private communications your father sent and received across decades of building the most powerful conservative media empire in history. The messages are not flattering about any of you. The world is watching. They are watching to understand how power is passed, how families are consumed by the institutions they create, how children become instruments of legacies they did not design. They are watching to understand succession. The show your family inspired, the fictional version that is easier to metabolize than the real one. They are watching because the question on the poster is interesting. Is a dynasty a family or a business? You are 54 years old. You have 3 children of your own, sons, a daughter. You have given them a different childhood from yours. Sydney, mostly. A mother who was a person before she was a Murdoch wife. Schools where their name does not precede them the way yours preceded you in Manhattan in the 1970s. But the empire is there. The name is there. The company that shapes what millions of people believe is true broadcasts every night under your authority. Your children are watching this. The way you watched your father at the Post in 1980. The way the room reorganized when he walked in. The way a decision moved from a man's mouth to a million people's minds in 12 hours without any of those million people seeing the man make it. They are learning what power looks like when it is not pretending to be something else. The question your father never answered. The one the Netflix docuseries poses and leaves open, the one the journalists have been asking since before you were born, is whether you have answered it for yourself, whether the dynasty is a family, whether the business is a family, whether there was ever, for the Murdochs, any difference between the two. You run the empire now. Your father is still alive, 94 years old, still reading the papers in the morning, still calling when something is wrong. The voice on the phone is the same voice that told you in 2005 to learn to fight your own battles. The same voice that defined what an audience of hundreds of millions of people were permitted to believe was news. You answer every time. This is the thing the docuseries cannot fully explain, and the thing you cannot fully explain either. Not loyalty, not fear, not strategy. Something older than all of those things. Something that arrived before you had language for it. You are the son of Rupert Murdoch. You have spent 54 years learning what that means. You are still learning. And the thing underneath the learning, the thing you are still trying to find when the calls end and the screens go dark and the empire goes quiet for exactly as long as empires go quiet, which is never very long, is whether any of it was ever about you. Or whether you were always, from the first morning in that London hospital, simply the next chapter of a story that started before you arrived and will continue after you leave. Whether a son is a person, or a continuation.